my sweet friends, I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to day 6 of our 13 days of Halloween series. Now, if you're just joining in, you can find links for the first 5 days at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And don't forget to listen throughout the video for the question of the day. Today, we're going to create this sweet little accordion folio that is filled with fun and festive tags. This makes a perfect untraditional scrapbooking system. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. I got this Happy Halloween paper pad from P13. I picked this up from scrapbook.com. It is not the current year edition. It is from last year, but it's still available. And I did get that in the 12 by 12 paper pad. I really love the pattern papers from this collection. It is a great quality paper. And the thing I really like most about it is they have many pages of images that you can cut out, and so you can create your own ephemera, and I think that's really good value for money as well as fun busy work. Now, I really like to watch football, and so this is something that I can do while the game is on. I don't really need to focus on watching the screen, and this just gives me something to do to stay busy. I'm going to start that accordion holder with the accordion sides, and so my cardstock measures 5 by 8, and I've come in and scored it at every 1 inch increment. And so I did also fold that up, and I left the backing on the tape so you can see where I'm adding that. It will be on the back, and then on the inside, the first piece, I skipped one and added it to the next one, skipped one, added it to the next one, skipped 2, folded it over, and added it to what will be the front. And so I have 2 of these, obviously 1 for each side, and I did put them on the same but on the opposite side so that I can close up the inside of my accordion folder. The next thing I want to add are the pieces that will connect them on the inside. And so I have 3 pieces of my cardstock cut to be 5 by 5. And I am going to finish that with my collection paper before I add it to the folded sections, just because it's easier to manage to get it positioned where I want. So my pattern paper for these is going to be 4 7/8 by 4 7/8, and I did finish all of those with that same pattern just for a consistent look on the inside. You don't need to finish off the inside, but I think it just helps it to be a little bit more sturdy and gives it a little bit more detail. Now you can see when I start working this in that I'll just have to remove the backing from my tape . I do want to add a row of Tombow to get our 2 glue combo. Then I'll just set that piece in along the score line so it's nice and even with the bottom and the top. I'm going to repeat that process for this side as well. For me, because I'm right-handed, I'm just going to switch this around so that I can line that up. Okay, so we're going to repeat that process, but we'll fold over the next section and add the divider to this. We've got one more divider to add in the same process with the same measurements. Okay, so I've got all 3 of those dividers added, and now you can see I've got plenty of room in here for all of the items that I want to add. For the next step, I need to wrap this so that I can put a bottom on it so my tags don't fall through. This piece is 5 inches high by 11 inches wide. It's going to be just a little bit short of the measurement going all the way around, but I just wanted to continue to work from my 8.5 by 11 paper that I just picked up. It's 80-pound cardstock weight. I'll link it in the description. It's very nice and sturdy for all of these albums. So I just decided that it would be a way to get it wrapped, and then I can cover that gap in the back when I add the portion to be the flap. So what I want to do is add this now to here. And you see when I've got that, all of those sections will be held secure. So I did put my tape on the front of these, and that will be added directly to that cover. I feel like accordions are a little bit hard to demonstrate because there's so many pieces that are ungainly and trying to move at the same time, and they get a little bit wiggly as you're moving along, but just take your time. Sometimes you're going to get your finger in the glue like I just did. Then just make sure you clean yourself up before you continue along so that you don't transfer that glue to another portion of your project. Just laying that on there. Then I will press this into that glue. I've got that 2-glue combo, so my tape will hold it in place while I work along. Now I can just flip that over, and I'll repeat that process using my 2-glue combo. This side's going to be a little bit more manageable, so I'm just bringing that up. And you see how I do have that little bit of a gap, and we're going to cover that when we add the next portion that will hold on the top and the flap. Now you can see that we have our basic box shape created, and we just need to wrap the back and create the top and the flap. That will be our closure. So I have my piece of black cardstock here. It is 5 inches high by 8 3/4 of an inch wide. There is a score mark at 2.5 and 3 3/4. So I put my double-sided adhesive there, and I will also add my 2-glue combo. This is going to hold this straight against my work surface and bring these 2 pieces together. Now when I close it, I'll have a nice solid background here when we covered that gap. And I'll have the width of the top is the same as the bottom, so we can fill all of our tags inside, and then we'll have our flap for a closure. So let's go ahead and finish this box with our collection paper. I have 3 different sizes of pattern paper here, and I'll have 2 of each so that I can cover the front and the back, and also the inside and outside of that flap. So my first piece is going to be 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. That is just going to leave us that nice border of our black cardstock. I'm going to skip this piece here and this piece because we need to add our closure to it. So let's flip this up and cover the top portion. I have 2 of these as well. They are 1 1/8 inch high by 4 7/8 of an inch wide. It'll probably be easier to position this so that I can get it right over the top and centered. And I've got another one cut for the inside. Got a piece for the flap on the inside. This piece is 2 1/4 by 4 7/8. Not only is this adding the detail for our flap, but it also helps to add a little bit of extra sturdiness because the extra layers. So now we have what will be the front. I have my paper cut with those same measurements, and I've also cut a scrap piece of paper here to be 4 7/8 inch wide. So I know it's going to stretch the full width. And then I came in and punched a little hole there so that I can position the holes for this. And we're going to add brads to those. So I need them to line up pretty good and be spaced out enough so that this flap will open and close easily. So I'm just going to line that up here. I'll hold that in place. Make a pencil mark. It's a little difficult to see that mark on camera, but I can see it here, and I'm going to punch a little hole with this owl, I don't know how to say that. I don't have a crocodile with a long arm reach. So I'm just going to punch that hole that way. I've got a brad here with a fun pattern with an epoxy top. I'll just thread that through and then close up the back, and that will capture it between the layers of the pattern paper and the base. I'll just tack that down with a little bit of my tape. Then I'll adhere this to the front of the box. Then I'll repeat that step with the pencil mark on the top flap. Once again, I know it's hard to see on camera, but I can see it. So I'm just going to puncture that so I can work the brad through. Position that so I can open up the back. And I'll add that. And I'll add that pattern here to the top. And when we add our finishing detail for the cover, we'll run our string through there. So this is how we're going to close this up and keep it secure. Let's work on the tags next. This collection has some journal cutter parts in the 3x4 and 4x4 size, and I wanted to use those to kind of determine the size of the inserts. And so I have my black cardstock cut here to be 5 high by 4 1/8 wide, and the pattern paper, this will be for the back, is 4 7/8 by 4. Then for the front, I'm going to join 2 of those patterns so that I can fill that amount of space. So I just have this little strip here, and I'm going to add it to the bottom, and then I will cover it with the 4x4 journal cut apart. And so bringing these 2 together will fill the amount of space that I have for my tag. I think this spider web on a white background is neutral enough. You could write on it if you wanted to add your journaling. We have a couple more made here. Remember, we have 3 sections, so I'm just going to create 3 of each of these inserts using the same measurements and the same process so that we get this filled up. So here is the second tag, and then here is the third. This is another place for maybe journaling or a fun photo mat, so you can kind of design these tags as you're filling them up. For the next insert, we're going to use the 3x4 image cut apart. We're going to just use that same process of covering the back with the pattern paper and then joining those two patterns on the front to fill the amount of space. So I have picked the height of these at 5 inches so that I can access them easily from that box. I don't want to dig into there. I just want to be able to reach them from the top. There will be additional room in those sections for additional flat keepsakes and mementos, so you'll have plenty of space to add all of those personal items that you want to include if you're using this for memory keeping. This little bat is so, so cute. And for the other two, I've got the same process, but now I have more room for journaling or to add pictures. The last insert is going to be folded at the top, and so the measurement for my cardstock is 10 high by 3 wide and scored at 5. If you have a small photo printer like the Canon Selfie, you can print your images 2 by 2, and so you would be able to have 2 of them on each one of these pages, so 2, 4, 6, 8, or maybe you could crop some images to fit in this smaller amount of room, but there's plenty of surface here to add a lot of photos and your memories. Well, I put the last piece on. It is a good time for the question of the day. What paper craft are you most likely to create for Halloween? For instance, an album, a card, or some home decor. I would choose an album as I do work on traveler's notebooks to document October, and so that would be my choice. Let me know in the comments what you would pick. Now I have 1 folded insert, 2, and 3. I just used the scraps and the offcuts so that I didn't waste any of this fun collection. And so I'm just going to choose my tags to go along with that, kind of alternating those colors so that I get definite layering effect on that. We can go ahead and add these to the box now. This is a pretty good weight now that we've got all of our inserts in, very sturdy and thick. I've got some baker's twine here, and that is what I'm going to use to wrap around those brads. So the first one I want to do is just to wrap it underneath there and give it a good knot so that it will be secured underneath. And I can just remove the excess twine. And I'll wind it around the top one so that I know how much of that twine is going to be needed. To close that up. So let's just go ahead and give this a generous amount here on the end. Last but not least, I have a flower arrangement. There isn't room on this front cover for a focal image or any of that, but I do think that we incorporated plenty of them on the inside, so it will be very fun and festive. This is a 3-flower arrangement. It has my netting, the loopy twine bows, die cut foliage, and a beautiful coordinated stitched satin. Being careful to keep all of those fragile bits within the border. You may need to come back in and give your twine a little bit of a haircut in case it gets a little bit straggly. And that is it for day 6. Make sure you come back tomorrow to join us for day 7. If you enjoyed this tutorial, let me know in the comments and give me a big thumbs up for this video. I'll leave links in the description to the products I mentioned, as well as all our socials. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe to join our crafty little family. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.